So, hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Hodgson, and today I'm delighted to be joined by writer, producer, and filmmaker Dieter Grohmann. How are you doing, Dieter?
I'm very fine, thank you. And how do you do, Glenn?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Dieter, give us a little bit of a background on yourself. You've done a lot of fantastic things. You've got a great experience in this, so it'd be great to hear about how you got into this world and what you're doing at the moment.
Well, it's a little bit tricky because it has been a journey over 40 years. Let's put
Wow.
it like that. Because when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go to an acting school in Austria, the Reinhardt Seminar. I think it's the most famous in the German-speaking countries. Um, Not to become an actor, but to become a director,
Mm.
mostly for stage and also for film. But thinking about my father, who has been a member of the Viennese Boys Chorus, the famous Viennese Boys Chorus,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
whole family was like, "Oh my God, art is a hobby, but not a profession." My mother was almost in tears, fearing that I would end up as a clochard, as a drunkard at the train station with fantastic ideas, but nowhere. So then I studied law
Yeah.
because it's the closest thing to do, because law is a lot of narrative, a lot of storytelling. And
Yes.
this is also the way I studied law, because a lot of people say, oh, it's so difficult to remember all the paragraphs and the law books and things like that. To me, this is just storytelling, you know. If you look at some law books, for instance, the right of the heritage of the widow with their own kids and kids from the previous marriage, this is paragraph behind. And in my
Wow.
mind, when I learned it, I imagined a very long street, almost like the mall in Edinburgh, and
Okay.
every house has a house number, which is the
Yeah.
paragraph, and every chapter underneath is the floor, and within there is the widow living with the kids. And then I imagined the room. This is how I approach this. But after and during the law studies, and I wrote my master's thesis about three-dimensional design, the legal
Right.
protection of three-dimensional design, comparing Austrian law to German law. I
Mm.
was already directing towards advertising, you know, and advertising is a profession. So then I
Yes.
started, after the law studies, after the university, I started with city marketing, which is a lot of narrative, telling about the city, making it livable. This is a honest profession.
Yeah.
And throughout all these kind of things, of course, sooner or later you come to making documentaries, making videos for conferences and off conferences. So off conferences, it's easy, it's a documentary. For conferences, I'm a little bit tended to say that here in Brussels, where I'm already for 20 years, I
Right.
invented this kind of thing because you have panel discussions on the
Right.
certain topics, various panel discussions, and to bridge these various panel discussions, it's always cool to change the medium. So you have these talking heads sitting on their chairs, being blunt or intelligent or smart or just politicians. I'm
Yes.
not giving that, well. And to change the subject or to alter the subject to the next panel, it is cool, as I said, to change the medium, to show a short video
Mm.
and to introduce the new topic with the video. And this is what I started to do here. And this was quite successful. I also made a multimedia exhibition, how it feels to be an entrepreneur. And of course, this is my background, being a lawyer, having worked for an association dealing with small and medium sized enterprises, their needs, their legal and their business needs. And then kicking in the artist, the child that survived.
The child that
And
survived. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I did this, and we had this exhibition for 2.5 days here in Brussels, in the center of Brussels, in the center of the European area, and we had 7,500 visitors. And this was sort of my artistic coming out.
Definitely.
And from there, everything started. I did more and more documentaries. I also, when the time for documentaries, due to the policy of the association changed a little bit, I started making short films. And now I'm in the middle of making feature films and feature-length documentaries. And this is actually my latest work, which is called Facing the Unknown,
Right.
which is a full feature-length documentary about climate change,
Yeah.
which already has been in festivals in the Americanas, so North and South America,
Mm.
where in 3 festivals we won 4 awards. And we
Congratulations.
will have a thank you, and we will have a premiere in the European Economic and Social Committee and in the European Parliament and some other associations in Brussels in May.
Fantastic. This
So
is
that's
great.
what's going on.
Well, very busy. So I love the way you come full circle as well. And it'd be interesting. How does it work? Because of course you went from sort of the legal side back to the passion in terms of directing and filmmaking. But surely that education and that background must put you in a good position when you're dealing with individuals, that you've got sort of a foot in both camps, that you actually understand the policy, you understand the legal side, as well as the artistic element as well.
Well, you see, what I cut out, not to be too long on, on this topic, is I also worked in the region of Salzburg, which is
Ah,
a region in Austria.
very
Um,
beautiful region as well.
Oh, it's really it's like a toy town,
Yes.
especially the city of Salzburg. And I worked there in the regional parliament as a spin doctor for a party which was the party of the governor, but I was not even member of the party. But the governor knew me through other actions, um, conversations. We called it Kamingespräche, so colloquial talks with entrepreneurs
Yeah.
about the development of the city, how the region should develop and things like that. And I told him, look, Governor, Mr. Governor, I'm not member of your party. And he said, I don't care, but you're a cool guy and I want you on board. So I've been a spin doctor for about 2 years or something in this era, which it gave me additional knowledge. So I really collected. Later on, I studied management of non-profit organizations in Switzerland. I
Mm,
studied, of course, filmmaking at the Austrian Film College, at the New York Film Academy. So all this, people tend to say, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a
right.
businessman, or
Yeah.
I'm a political science. I tend to say, hi, I'm Dieter. In my backpack, I have various tools.
Yeah.
One is law, one is business, one is non-profit, one is politics, one is filmmaking, one is teaching. I'm teaching at the business school, creativity and cross-cultural communication. So these are tools, for me, these are tools which me as a person use for how I swift three-dimensionally through time.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that often we forget in life, Dieter, or people maybe play down. The fact that you have to almost have the left brain, right brain elements to actually have that. And I like the way you describe this as sort of the 3D thinking, to be able to put the different sides together, because they don't work in isolation. They really one spurs is off the next and develops in this basis.
Absolutely. And this is something which I see more and more in the political discussion, that there are good ideas out there. And it's not just about selling. It's not about
Mm,
selling BS, not not to spell it out.
yes.
Um, it's not just to sell it, but really to explain why we do things.
Mm,
And then we also have to see, are we, because I do understand that the political field is there to do good for the country and for the people of the country.
yes.
And sometimes we all have the impression that politics and law is not there for the people, but the people are there to serve the law. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it is, and we are not seen as individuals, as mature people, but just as customers,
Mm.
as human resources. You
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because we are calling for people to fulfill jobs, but it's not workforce that comes, it's human beings that comes
Mm.
with their various culture, with their various ideas, with their fears, um, and all what comes along. And we have to react on that. And we have to see, do these people fit in? Not just as a tool, as a battery like, but as a personality. And this is where you see where great companies differ from just companies, or
Mm.
maybe institutions, or governmental organizations, where it's just the political and not the personal what is brought in.
Mm. And this idea that you've got at the moment, I mean, this almost, you've got a portfolio career, portfolio lifestyle. You can put these things together. Is this something that's becoming more and more common, would you say, in life, that people don't want to be boxed into just doing one thing, but can have a lot of skills, knowledge, and expertise that they can draw upon in their backpack, as you say yourself, to be
Mm.
able to create and deliver value for individuals, companies, and organizations?
Unfortunately, well, let's put it like that. The people coming into companies, they would like to do this.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit the word work-life balance,
Mm.
which, if we see it from this point of view, that people, people work a lot about things which they like, but if they are forced to do things, you know, you don't really want to do these things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we see, and I'm not a huge fan of the Japanese society as such. Please don't get me wrong, but there in these big companies, the companies give to their employees time and material to create ideas.
Right.
And once a year, they present their ideas. Apart from they have a welding job, they have an accountant job, they have a stupid job, whatever. And then they create something on an engine, or art, or I don't know, something. And then once a year, they present it. And
Yeah.
it's not laughed about, it's not ridiculed or something. They say,
Mm.
okay, you have thoughts. And some of these ideas are taken up and put into the program of the company. This is creation, this is development. I recall a story
Yeah.
of an Austrian company. You tell me if the time is going down.
It's good. It's fantastic.
All right. So I recall a story of an Austrian company where an old guy, political circumstances. I think it was in Poland or something. So this rather old guy with his family, he came to this village in Lower Austria, and they didn't know what to do with him. So they said he should be the night guard. You know, we don't know what to do with you. Just answer the phone, something like this. And one day, after some 2 months or something, the owner of the company passed by the night guard and asked, "So, how are you doing? How is your family? So you're settled. So you are not really a refugee anymore. Would you think to go back to your country? And oh, what books do you have here on your table? Oh, they are about this and that." And with this conversation, he found out that in his home country, this guy was a professor at the university on some technical things. And for the next weeks and nights, the two were sitting together discussing projects.
Mm.
And the entrepreneur, he kept his initial company, but with this night guard guy, he created a new company with the knowledge of the old dude, something new out of it. And to me, this is one of these magic stories. Like, what do you bring on board? Not
Yeah.
just just check if everything is logged.
Mm.
Just make your tour that there is no thief or whatever. to create something. And this is, I mean, when I was around 20 or something, I had two Bibles, of course, the real Bible and David Ogilvy's books.
Okay. Yeah.
And you remember David Ogilvy, this person of advertising.
Yeah,
And he told about
absolutely.
J. Walter Thompson that there is the rumor on the tombstone of J. Walter Thompson is written, he had no skills at all, but employing the best people of his time.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
the thing? I mean, you need to give the people time or also money. You know, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Time and money and the room to create. And I do remember before I started my own company, some 2 years ago, in one of my last talks with the, at the time, boss, when she said we should change the strategy on a certain topic. And I said, all right, we are hammering with a small hammer the big walls of the commission for years. And there is some movement there. Why should we change the strategy? Just simple question. And she got nervous and she started. And she said, you and your F dot, she said it, philosophy. Why? Because I'm the boss here and I have the say. Oh, you
Mm.
can't do this to a person, to me.
No, no, it's the
Because
wrong
I leaned back and I said,
approach.
yeah, okay. I mean, you're the boss, you lead. Yeah, okay. And of course, when my contacts in the commission asked, why are you changing your strategy? I said, well, this is what my boss said, because she's the boss and she has the say. I mean, not much later, I left the organization saying, I mean, sorry.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, sorry. You see what I mean? It's not, I feel pity for this person because,
Mm.
you need to see the bigger scale, the bigger picture, what we
Yeah.
can achieve, what we can do together. And if we, oh, I don't know if this is appropriate for the podcast, but if we start fighting, who's the better, then let's just go somewhere and see who has the bigger biceps, or lower the trousers and measure, and then say, okay, the who has the bigger numbers is the one who's right. I mean, this is a very boyish, um, masculine approach.
Yes, very much so. Yes, we
But
gone beyond that. But I think that you got a good point there in terms of the growth of everyone has different reasons for doing these things, but this growth of freelancing, creating your own business, creating your own structure seems to be something that's getting more and more popular. Dieter, are you seeing it amongst sort of friends and colleagues as well, or is it are you an outlier still in this space?
um, yes and no. The thing is that when you look at the graduates of business schools, most of them, they want to work with IBM, with Shell, with you name it,
Mm.
Apple, the big companies, airline companies or whatever. So they want to go into, or Roland Berger, one of these, or Ernest and Young.
Mm.
They want to earn a lot of money, yes, but they want to be in the shelter of that, which has the positive side that every first of the month you get a whoppy check, and you don't need to worry about anything. A freelancer, and this is also the downside about the freelancer, is you have to run for your whoppy check, and most of the time it's not a whoppy check,
No.
but you have to run. But here's the thing: when I was again around 20, I thought, okay, I have a business life or a work life, and I have a private life.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, I realized I have one life. I have 24 hours a day, and then I see how many hours I dedicate to what. And if death comes around, the hooded guy,
It
and
reaches it
says,
all. Yeah, one day or another. Yes.
you come with me. You
Yeah.
cannot start playing chess or say, oh, but I still have overtime and I have 5 days of holiday already of last year. No, he says, you come now.
Yeah.
And when I arrived in Belgium about 20 years ago, a good friend of mine, he said, look, if the weather is favorable today, try to strip off all obligations because today you have nice weather. Tomorrow it might be raining for the next 4 weeks. So
Yes.
use your time. And this
Yeah.
carpe diem, which we, of course, we heard it at school,
Yeah.
but this is also something we can live. And some
Mm.
people laugh at me when they see me driving around with my vintage car um, on a Tuesday morning, and they say, "Are you not working or something?" I said, "Look, I've been writing on my newest script till 4 o'clock in the morning, and now while you go for lunch, I take my vintage car, I go to Waterloo, I drink a coffee there, and that's it." So my working hours shifted very much.
Yeah.
So which means I'm not easy to re-socialize. So even if somebody would tell me, "Oh, I offer you a job," I would say, "How are the working hours?"
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
don't really want to have a job because a bird, you see, a bird that started flying will not continue walking, will always fly. And
Yeah.
once you are a freelancer, you are free. I want to stress the word free in freelancer. You are free.
Yeah.
And freedom is, I saw once a very nice picture where you see a bear in a zoo, which stretches and looks over the wall, and the subtitle was, "The seed is planted."
Yes. Seeing what's available to you. And I think more and more people, Adita, are putting more value and stock by the fact that they want freedom, choice, and flexibility. These things are sort of non-negotiable for a work life or a work style. People aren't content to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week and have just weekends and 20 days holiday a year. I think people want that flexibility you're talking about. For some people, it's driving their vintage car to Waterloo. For other people, it's something different. But that intrinsic ability to choose is something that I think is getting more and more strong within individuals today.
I Sometimes I think so too, and it's not just about the vintage cars or something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a very long phone call with a business partner yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday,
Yep.
so and a lot of people would say on Sunday I'm not working, and this is weekend.
Mm.
But for me, Sunday, Monday, whatever, I don't care. It is um, hammer the iron while it is hot.
Yes. Yep.
That's what it is. And this, being an entrepreneur, being a freelancer, being also a one-person company, the OPC, is not just another way of employment. It's a different way to live your life.
Yes.
It's a complete different way to live your life. And this
Yes.
is what also politicians, and I was in a meeting of the Economic and Social Committee, and they were like, what, how, and how can we do programs, and don't you want to have employees? No, I don't
Mm.
want to have employees.
Yep.
Number one, because they cost a lot of money, and I have
Yes.
to pay them. Well, I have to pay them also if I don't have a project, and I don't want to grow. And on the other hand, if I have a project, I have a network of freelancers around
Exactly.
me, and I call them up. And if all goes favorable, I have about 35 to almost 40 people that would stand with me. That's a small army.
Mm.
And
Mm.
especially in a film project, or smaller size film project with 35 people, oh, you can go very far.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I've heard actually the parallels that almost the corporate world of today is becoming like more like that of a film director. So you have a project, you build your team around the goal that you want and so you pick in the specific skills, knowledge, and expertise. create a team that's going to be the best fit for that
Yeah.
project, and move on in the same way you do when you pull in your actors, your script writers, your makeup artists, your logistics people. And this is almost sort of the way that we're going to get this sort of blended teams in
Yeah.
the world of work. It's going to be more like that. So you're ahead of the curve, I think, Dieter, on these things.
Um, Thank you very much. But being ahead of the curve is also a very lonely thing. And on one hand, and on the other hand, you know, I mean, I don't care for that. But through my whole life, and not just me in my private life, my business life, people said, but we never did this before. This has never been in our organization, you know. But
Mm,
I don't feel myself as a front runner or ahead of the curve or being. I just do the things, you know. I see things and let's do it, you know. Let's maybe I don't know if this is a frontier spirit or something like that, but
mm,
it comes back to this. You cannot cheat death and say there is. I mean, sometimes it is the and I love this quote as well. When you have a big problem, tell the problem that your God is bigger. I just say, Jesus, please take over. Um, but you know, it works in a spiritual way, of course. But in business life, sometimes you know, sometimes it's also good um, to be a wise, as we call it, Indian, a wise First Nation person, sit by the bench of the river and wait until the corpse of the problem floats by. You know, it is the momentum. It is sometimes the accurate time to when to move and when not to move. You know,
mm.
and sometimes, and this is with one of my films now the topic, because I wrote a script which is called The Librarian of Lemberg, which is a
Okay.
story of a librarian, as it says, in Lviv, in Ukraine, who has no interest in the war, in anything, in saving his own skin, but to save the old books, you know?
Okay.
And there's a hero's journey. Guess
Mm,
what? I don't get the financing for this. The
mm.
moment I talk with people, they say, oh, it's in the Ukraine war right now. Ooh, which side are you on? On the Russian side? Are you a Putin understander? Or are you with the Ukraine? Or why is he running away to the US? You know, all these kind of things. There is no in the film funding or in the subsidies for film funding. And I think this was also one of the topics you wanted to address
Yeah.
um, briefly. There is no courage in saying let's bring out a story. When I look, may it be Netflix, may it be television, there is always the same faces, always the same kind of stories, and there is no film funding, national or European, which takes care about newcomers. I mean,
Right.
I don't really look like a newcomer, but with feature films, in a way, I am.
Yeah.
And you know, that I'm a late starter doesn't mean that I'm a newcomer. But it's always the same companies that. So there is a kind of closed shop. There
I
is a,
see.
there is a so-called Film-Fernsehabkommen, so an agreement on film and television. You get a funding when you can prove that you already did a feature film in one of the TV stations or cinema chains with the attached list. So, you know, you already need to have money to get money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really, really tricky. So this is, of course, how creative people and friends of mine, they start with short films, which they can easier finance,
Mm.
uh, and then try to find free riders. The same thing is with the documentary we did now. We didn't get 1 cent of subsidy from any country, from any institution for the time being. It was privately financed.
Okay, so you got to be very agile in terms of bringing in the money and creating the links there as well. And I guess this is kind of the work style of the lifestyle. It goes up and down. It's not easy. You're always chasing, sort of
Yeah,
creating the next
yeah.
opportunity.
But then again, I'm not the money guy. I'm the guy that writes, that is directing, that is, you know, when people say, what do you do with a film? I'm like a conductor,
Mm.
I'm nervous. I'm waving around with my arms. I'm sweating, but the orchestra is playing the music.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
actors are acting. The camera guys making the great images. I'm just, the conductor that is nervous and tries to make something out of it. But
Bringing
I'm
it
not
all
the money
together.
guy. These are different professions,
Yeah.
like the press officer is not the head of sales,
Mm,
although between sales and press is a linkage, because you also need to sell, with narratives, sell your products.
but it's a very interesting sort of sector. But I think it's also that how you bring those things together and create the opportunities and the ups and downs of freelance life as well, Dieter, that you can't get away from. There's the excitement, but then there's also the lows from time to time when you're sort of trying to pull something together, trying to make something happen.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is, when I look, and I mean, you are very welcome to find me on Internet Movie Database, and I'm very proud that it's not all awards that I won is me. It's also my
Yes.
actors, my
Yeah.
camera people, my music, my musicians. A lot of people, and this is where sometimes we say that creative people are the earthly, the ultimate competitor on this planet to God, because there was nothing and you create something.
Yeah.
So when I start writing a script, I have this, of course, this page blanche, this white page syndrome, and then I destroy this white page with the first word. And
You
then, the first 2-3 pages is easy.
mm.
Then it's a bit tough to the 20 pages. And then there's the valley of tears. From page 20 to 80, it's the valley of tears. And from page 80 to 150, 200, oh, that's a home run.
It's getting through the different stages and
Yeah. So,
coping with it.
and this is also a very, very lonely adventure to
Mm.
write, to create these things. But then again, you need to find people that stand with you, that support you, that help you, that give ideas. Now I'm reworking an original idea of Alistair White with his nom de plume. He's also an author. Is Alex Hunter, and the story is called Ocean Gypsy, and I'm writing it together with a close friend on the idea of Alistair. And
Mm.
this is, of course, we have various ideas, and we meet once a week. We discuss these things, and we come up with new ideas. And writing and all creative activity is a little bit like pottery. You have some dirt on the pottery disc, and you add something, you throw things away, then you add again, and then you form the whole thing. And
Yes.
maybe at the end, once you have the pot, there is not one grain of the initial clay you had, or maybe it's 90% of the additional clay, but you need it in between all this movement.
Yeah.
And this is something you make out of. This is why I call the clay dirt. You make out of nothing a something. And this is
Fantastic.
something, there is nothing which is more satisfying than, I was about to say, like making fire. You remember maybe the film with Tom Hanks, Castaway,
Castaway.
where
Yeah.
he makes fire, and then there's no one on the island, and he tells to the universe. He says, "Look, I have made fire." And this is something, the adventures of life. And
It is.
it's not 9 to 5. It's not thinking, oh,
It's
we have
not.
January and where do I go on the school holidays? Oh, and in 3 months there are already summer holidays. Because if you think like that, we could now we have March,
Yep.
almost April. I could say we are in fall because there are just 2 months. Then there are summer holidays. Your colleagues will go for summer holidays, some in June, some in July, most of us in August, which means we end up in September. And in September, half of the September, people are coming back. They're relearning their job in a way. So time is rushing. And this is the question which I always put forward when my wife says, "And are you happy with the film?" I keep on saying, "Yeah." But the question is, how many films will I still be able to do? How
Yeah.
much time is still given?
Hmm.
I hope a lot
Well,
because my father, although my father passed away some 3 years ago, but his sister, his older sister, had her 101th birthday in
oh my goodness.
February. So
Well,
ideally, I hope like my genes are a bit similar.
well, there's plenty of time and plenty of opportunities left to sort of create things. But I really appreciate you sharing your story, Dieter. We look forward to following the journey and send across the links as well. We'll include those to some of your materials. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.